Welcome to Run With It, BC's only running fitness and health show. On today's program, we were in conversation with Canadian soccer star Christine St. Clair. Also, we have our Train Like a Pro segment with G. Roy Simon, so stay tuned for that. Also, we have a race report on the BMO Vancouver Marathon, plus coverage of the Shoppers Drug Mart run and the Women to Warrior event, which I participated in. Plus, we have a contest and our monthly run calendar. But first, let's go to our in-studio interview. With me in the studio is Graham Fell, who is here to talk about a running event he's built into one of the best on the calendar, the Longest Day Run race. Graham has one of the most impressive running pedigrees in BC history. For 28 years, he held the Canadian record of 8:12:58 in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. He's a three-time medalist at the Commonwealth Games. He is a two-time Olympian who helped organize the first Vancouver Sun Run in 1985, winning it in '86 and '87. In 1999, at age 47, he clocked 30:09 to take Sun Run top master. He won the 1994 California International Marathon in 2:16:13, and in 2004 was inducted into the BC Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show, Graham Fell. So Graham, did you come from a family of runners?
I didn't. My father was a cyclist. He was actually a world record holder. And I was the youngest of three sons, and I wanted to be badly good at something, and it just turned out to be running. And
now, how did you start running? When was that epiphany moment?
I actually ran. I was like the European African. I ran home from school every day and played soccer and all those kind of things. And then when I went to high school, at about I think 12, we did a cross-country run, and it was, you know, I kind of finished the run and looked around and there was no one there, and I was like, where is everybody? And that was sort of the epiphany. It's like, oh, I'm good at something. Good.
So do you remember your first competition, and what was that like?
It was in school competitions. It was running against other schools, and it was actually in the sort of right in the neighborhood where I used to live. So it was kind of fun doing that.
So I understand you're from England?
Yeah, originally from East London.
And so tell me, what made you decide that you wanted to do steeplechase?
It was sort of thrust upon me. I belonged to a track club in England, and we used to have a lot of inter-club competitions, and we had a really good sort of stable of athletes, and I was sort of the tallest guy, so it made sense for me to try the steeplechase. And
so now tell us about the most memorable moments of the running events that you've done. You've done so many.
Yeah, there's lots of, you know, there's sort of certain cross-country races I remember, because we always used to do that. Probably the track event that sticks in my mind most is the Commonwealth Games in '86. And it wasn't because of anything in terms of the winning the race, which was great, but it was planning the race out in advance, knowing your competitors, and having a sort of set race plan and knowing what was going to happen. And it was kind of like stepping outside of yourself and watching this thing unfold exactly as you had planned it. And so that was kind of neat. It always sticks with me.
Graham Fell, what makes a good runner?
The same thing that makes anybody good is it's sort of dedication. I mean, you need those 5,000, 10,000 hours of work. And you've got to have certainly some genetics, but a lot of it comes down to just working and working and working and being patient.
Mm-hmm. So Graham Fell, do you run anymore?
I don't do a lot of running. I coach, I teach, and I obviously organize road races and that kind of stuff. I tend to do it sporadically. I don't have to go out when it's raining anymore, so I can kind of sit and not do that. But during the summer I get back into shape, and then during the fall I run, and then I usually back off a little bit and get ready in the spring again.
I mean, do you miss competing?
I do. I miss the getting ready for it. But I know that for me, if I want to go back and compete, I have to do it 100%, and I don't have the time to do it 100%. So for that reason, I kind of just let it go.
Mm-hmm. So Graham Fell, you love coaching. What is it about?
You know, when I was young, I had a lot of really good mentors, people who gave up their time, and I really want to be that person, you know, the person that turns people onto track and turns people onto running for a lifetime, not for sort of a season, but to make them sort of want to go back and do exactly what I've been doing, which is coaching again, so giving back.
And you are an elementary school teacher.
Yep.
Can you identify some runners at that age?
You see potential, but sometimes it's way too early at sort of grade 7 because they haven't hit puberty yet. And some of the kids you expect to be good sometimes change, and some of those kids who are on the periphery come through. There's certain signs, but again, it comes down to the willingness to sort of continue on and kind of work through the tough times.
Mm-hmm. And Graham Fell, I want to talk about your race coming up, the longest day. Can you tell us about the run?
It was actually a run that was put on a long time ago, and it kind of died. And it was a run I never actually raced in, but I helped out at. It was a Friday night run, and it was a very sort of social event. So it was the beginning of the sort of summer season, and it was a time when all the runners came together and they ran, and then they came back and they had a party, basically. And so basically when I started getting into track and coaching, we needed to raise funds for the track club, and we chose to do that as part of a run. And so the funds get split between the JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and the track club, and those funds go into researching diabetes, obviously, and also into providing programs for elementary age kids.
That's wonderful. And how is your event different from others? I know it's in the evening.
It's
right?
an evening.
Yes.
It's a Friday night, which is unusual, so you kind of get the hard part over before the weekend starts. And there's a big party afterwards. So we have a big barbecue. The kids have their own kids zone and party there. So
And it's a miler, right? A kids mile?
Kids mile,
Yeah.
5K, 10K, so you can choose your distance. And it's out at UBC. It's a kind of very scenic run, so it's nice.
And it's for all levels of abilities?
Yep, we have we have an elite part. This year the race is actually the BC 5K Championships, and there's strollers at the back of the pack too. So.
And how much has your event grown over the years?
We started off, I think it's 13 years ago with 180 people.
13, wow, years
And
ago.
it's grown to now 1,700, 1,800 people.
Wow,
So.
that's wonderful. And if people want to register, where can they register?
They can go online to the Vancouver Thunderbirds Track Club, and that's got a link through that, or they can go to Running Room and pick up an entry form there.
So I want to ask you, what's next for Graham Fell?
I'm kind of contemplating that. Obviously, you know, I'm kind of getting older. I'd like to continue coaching, coming to the end of my school career as well at some point. Haven't decided exactly when, but I'll probably end up doing a little bit more of coaching, less of teaching as time goes on.
And now you have children, right? Are they runners themselves, or?
My daughter was. She got to international standards. She ran as a
Awesome.
junior, ran the World Juniors in Beijing in 2008. And my son wasn't really a runner, but he got into rowing, so kind of a good
Still
fit
athletic.
there. Yeah, and aerobic, and I kind of wish he'd stayed as a runner because I think he could have been actually pretty good. But
Yes.
he chose rowing.
Awesome. And if anyone wanted to get into running, what tips would you give them?
Be patient.
As you said.
Yeah, running. You know, running takes even just getting into being fit. You know, it's a 6-week process, and generally you tend to feel pretty good in the first week, and you don't feel so good after that, and it slowly comes back up. But if you're consistent and you give it sort of 6 months to get really into it, then you know, you really feel good. You know, you do get runner's highs, but it gives you so much more energy when you're actually performing and getting out there and running.
It's an awesome feeling. And do you keep a logbook, or do you have your logbooks on hand?
No,
I want to ask you that.
you know, I can pretty much remember everything I did,
Wow.
and I don't need to go back and do that. There's the odd memory that you cast aside because it wasn't a good day, but I pretty much know what times I ran and what workouts I did.
Yes, and you know about, one more question, cross-training. How important is cross-training?
I think it depends on the athlete. Ideally, if you're a runner, you should spend the majority of your time running, but we cross-trained, we certainly biked, we swam, we pool ran, and as you get older, I think it becomes even more important to do that. So I'm kind of turning into the non-competitive but sort of triathlete type person. I bike, I swim, and I run.
Awesome.
As soon as I start trying to run too much, I start getting into problems because I just generally start pushing too hard, and that's a problem.
Yes, or you can get injured, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's I can go from. I mean, within 6 weeks, I can pretty much go from nothing to being able to run 37 minutes for 10K.
Yeah. Well, the key is listen to your body.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to thank you very much, Graham Fell, coming on the show, and I'd like to have you come back at some point.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, let's go to our next segment, Train Like a Pro, with Canadian football legend, Geroy Simon. Check this out. Simon, thanks so much for joining us. And so, what is your role now with the BC Lions?
Well, right now I do a few different things. The majority of my role is scouting and personnel, but I also support the business side. And there will be some other things as the season gets going, where I'll be involved with some game day stuff and alumni and things like that.
And Geroy, did you always have a passion for football, or was it basketball?
Well, I've always been passionate about all sports, whether it's football, basketball, baseball. I ran track, so a number of different sports, and I felt like I was a decent athlete. But football has been the one that has been most passionate for me, and it's the one sport that I was best at. So I followed that into a career.
Now, how do you follow a healthy lifestyle?
Well, for me, I try to at least do something active every day, if not every other day. I get up, I train my son in the morning, but I also try to get some work in myself. I try to get in the weight room at least 2 to 3 times a week, and then I play basketball a few times a week. So doing something active every day is something that's good for me. Drinking tons of water.
Geroy, do you have a tip for our viewers who want to train like a pro?
Well, the thing is, you gotta, if you're going to train like a pro, you got to constantly push yourself. There's going to be days that you don't want to get out of bed. There's days that you don't want to get into the gym, but you'll feel more rewarded on those days when you actually get out there and do something. And always, doing something to break a sweat is something that's really key in a healthy lifestyle and healthy living.
I have to ask you, the Superman pose. How did you come up with that?
Well, my son my second son was really young, and we used to watch Power Rangers and Batman and all those things, and I just figured that I would do something on one of our away games that if I scored a touchdown that I can say that's kind of for you, son. And I started doing it, and I started having success, and the fans seemed to like it, so I just kept doing it, and then it got named the Superman pose and all that stuff, and the rest is history.
It's awesome. And you have the records for the most career yards, right? The most career receptions, and dare I say, most career touchdowns. I mean, oh my goodness, it's just awesome. And I mean, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great, but my thing is it's a lot of great accomplishments, but for me, I never looked at those things and rested on that. I always wanted to look for the next challenge. So, I've done a lot of great things on the field and helped this team, helped this organization win, championships and a lot of games. But for me now, I try to take that and take it a step further, where now I'm in the front office. I'm an executive. I want to help our team win in that way, and then the on the field experiences, I can share that knowledge with the young guys who are still playing.
And one last question: will there be a next Geroy?
I'm not sure. Hopefully we can find someone who can play well enough and possibly break my records. I mean, records are made to be broken, and I would be honored if someone did that. That would also mean that we're doing our jobs as an executive, looking for the next great talent.
Well, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Geroy.
Thank you for having me.
And now let's go to our race report on the Shoppers Drug Mart Run.
Shoppers Drug Mart is committed to making a difference in the health of BC women through mind, body, and spirit. This run is going to encourage women to get out and be active and engage in physical activity, and it also is a great way to draw awareness to mental health and also fundraising for mental health.
To get conversations going on mental health, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in your family unit, whether it's in your community. The solution is being proactive. The solution is showing that there's support. No matter how serious the issue may be for somebody, there's always somebody that they can talk to.
We actually have partnered with the Running Room Canada, and this is actually the first run series for women and girls in BC.
A real shout out to Shoppers Drug Mart for doing this. 12 cities across Canada, and that's only the beginning. I'm sure we will see this happening all across Canada because we really need to move an agenda forward on mental health and mental wellness. Thank you so much.
I'm Tim James from News 1130, and you're watching Run With It.
In our next segment, we were in conversation with Canadian soccer star Christine St. Clair. Check this out. Christine, thanks so much for taking your time today. I really appreciate it. And you're the captain of the women's national team, and this is your 4th Women's World Cup. How important is your role?
I don't see the role as captain being all that important. I think this team has a group of leaders on this team that sort of we each do our own thing and sort of spread the responsibility out. I joke that I do coin tosses before the game, and that's it.
That's great. And how excited are you to have the Women's World Cup here in Vancouver?
It's going to be incredible. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to play a World Cup in front of your friends and family, and the chance of playing the final at BC Place. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
How do you expect to do? Are you ready?
We will be ready. We expect to do very well. We're heading into this wanting to win it, but at the same time, we got to get out of our group first, so that's the focus.
Yes, and congratulations on, receiving the bronze medal.
Thank you.
And how does it make you feel, not only being here, but when you're off the pitch, what do you do to maintain a healthy lifestyle?
It's very easy. We've been training here in Vancouver since October as a team. So they put us through our paces every day in terms of training, and that with a World Cup around the corner, you can't cut any, you can't cut any corners, and everything you do is about being ready for this summer.
And you will be ready.
Absolutely.
Christine, do you run?
Yes. Yes, we run a lot.
And so do you have a comfort food before the game? Do you have any rituals?
Not really. I'm not the most superstitious person you'll meet. I think a pre-game meal that I have to have usually involves some chicken, some pasta, and veggies. Yeah, nothing crazy.
And what would you, this is for training like a pro segment, what tips would you share with our viewers how to train like a pro?
Takes commitment and a lot of hard work, but I think just a variety. Even as a soccer player, workouts can get very repetitive and boring if it's always the same thing. So just doing a variety of different things keep you like, I don't know, like hooked on it. And when you get bored, you're less likely to do something. So.
Yes. Christine, do you see yourself retiring after the World Cup, or do you have that?
No, not at all. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
All right, thanks for having me.
I appreciate that. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Now let's go to our Woman to Warrior event, which I participated in my first obstacle course. It was a lot of fun.
I'm Raquel, and I'm Canada's fastest high school sprinter, and you're watching Run With It.
Now you run the 100, the 200, and the 400. Is there a favorite event?
I like the 200 probably the best because it's not too long, not too short. Well, Mondays are usually the harder workouts, so we get all our endurance and all that stuff on Monday, and then Tuesday it's more sprints, Wednesday's active rest, so just kind of jogging to make sure your legs feel good, and then Thursday's pre-meet, so getting ready to run on Friday.
Raquel, how do you mentally prepare for such a, important event in your life?
Well, it's good not to get too nervous because then you won't run well. You've got to keep your mind straight and think of your goals and what you're reaching for.
Basically, you know what, she surprises us every year. Every year she does something that amazes both me and my husband and herself. Supportive. I think we just try to go along with her every step of the way.
Training's been hard. It's been good training though. Quite a bit. At the beginning of the year we started with endurance mainly and just building my sprint endurance. But towards like competition season, trying to focus on speed more, or just picking it up. I'm doing a lot of like speed, just focusing on form. Coaches helped me out a ton with that.
And what's your coach's name?
Mary.
Mary?
Yeah.
Okay. So you run the 100, the 200, and the 400. Is there a favorite event and why?
I think the 4 would be my favorite, just because I just love the feeling of just running it.
He's really focused on his events, and I'm sure he's enjoying the ride, but he's focused, so he keeps it all inside and just gets the job done.
And now it's time for a contest. You have a chance to win a brewery tour for 4 people at Steamworks Brewery. Now the question is, when is the FIFA Women's World Cup? To enter, just simply go to our Facebook page, and good luck. Thanks for watching. If you have a question or comment on today's show, go to our website on the screen. Now we leave you with some BMO Vancouver Marathon footage, plus our monthly running calendar. Until next time, run with it.